Something I had mentioned during my few training camp visits in Cleveland was quarterback height. Drew Brees and Russell Wilson have given front offices and head coaches this false sense of security that shorter quarterbacks are more of a rule than they are an exception to rule in the modern NFL. Dillon Gabriel did play an okay game last Saturday, yet those struggles that plagued him in Browns camp directly tied to his height, even though it may not have seemed that way to many Browns fans, absolutely showed up this last weekend. Where his stature affects him most are his progressions downfield inside the numbers. This is from the pocket inside shoulder, tackle to tackle, whilst working to stand tall around stressed and tight pockets. I emphasize the word progressions because setting up a quarterback to throw to his first read isn't the best measure of a quarterback's ability or his limitations. Asking a passer to push the ball and challenge all levels and ranges of the field and then consistently delivering on those throws is what makes a good passer. I'm going to use two plays from last weekend that brilliantly sum up both the first read ability and then the progression weakness. Welcome to my channel. Let's run the 9.
You do it like this.
Second and 15 with the Browns at 11 personnel, Coach Steph dials up a concept called bow. It's a high percentage throw using a hitch from the number 2 receiver that threatens and holds the second level defender, the weak side linebacker, while working in a deeper dig route behind it. The idea is to create a high-low concept that's easy for the quarterback to read. Post-snap is a different picture. The boundary safety spins down working curl to flat, attaches to the hook. This puts an in-to-out bracket on the tight end and creates a clear throwing lane now that 2 defenders are sitting low on the hitch. The middle field safety being too high to drive on the route. This is as the receiver enters the window. All Gabriel has to do is to step into a solid first read throw that maximizes yards after the catch. Looking at it from the front side of the play, you'll see Gabriel's eyes working post-snap in 2 ways. First, confirming no low-hold DB robbing the low middle of the field, and then down to the weak side hook. This is a great pocket from the O-line and allows Gabriel to read one and to step into a clean throw. But what when it isn't that easy? This play highlights the theme I found charting Gabriel's snaps when forced to work from 1 to 2 on vertical concepts between the numbers. First and 10, the Browns are back out in 11 personnel with reduced splits to the strength of the formation. The Eagles are in a 2-high safety rotation pre-snap, which ends up shifting post-snap, with the boundary safety spinning down to fit the weak side run gap. This boundary safety's responsibility is twofold. 1, fit backside B-gap run. 2, attach on a match landmark. If there is no immediate receiver crossing his face or moving laterally, he is to look for work backside, essentially functioning like a cover 3 integrity by working backside over routes like the one from Jawari Thrash, which now puts a high-low bracket on any over receiver. With the corner cleared out and the double put on from the boundary to your number 1 on the over, you're now looking backside to the Z follow, in this particular case, Cedric Tillman. Getting a look from the backside of the play only further highlights the missed read. Gabriel comes up after a strong ball fake, freezes the frontside linebacker, and then locates the boundary safety on the double for the over. At this point, his eyes and shoulders should be resetting back down the middle of the field between the hash marks to find Tillman on the follow, the second level defender being cleared out from chasing shallow drag. Regardless if the DB is in Seti's pocket, this is where coverage dictates the ball should go. Give your 6'3 wide receiver an opportunity to box out a smaller trailing DB or put the ball low and away, allowing him to scoop it up off the deck. Instead, when Gabriel goes to reset his eyes, the obstruction from the guard and action in front of him prevents him from finding a second option. Instead, he half bails from what is an NFL clean pocket into contact from the strong side edge and puts up a backyard throw that could have resulted in his second turnover of the day. But even when working structures that break outside the hashes or cross from far side hash, Gabriel still presents as an above average turnover risk. This rep amounts to far side flood that instead of Gabriel working quickly from 1 to 2 on, essentially holds on to the high read from 1 instead of taking his outlet option at 2, not reading the fact that the field safety is building that same cover 3 integrity and waiting for this over. The result is the same with Gabriel not having the field vision directly tied to his height to see this safety and tosses up another throw that would have made for his third turnover on the day. Browns coaches respond to help their shorter quarterback by engineering throws to the perimeter. This is a concept from Coach Reese at Alabama called railroad. The idea is simple. Your receivers are running mesh, your halfback is running a rail route. This isolates the strong side linebacker on the halfback to have to fight through traffic to get to his assignment and the high DB for being out of alignment. Should the strong side linebacker make it over top to the halfback as the first read, the window opens for the second read, in this case Jamari Thrash, reading this out to in. Again, these are setting up high percentage concepts against match and man coverage for shorter quarterbacks working these perimeter throws. And credit to the coaching staff for their offensive adjustments, working to the personnel strengths, and finding ways to stay ahead of the chains. But while charting plays, I couldn't help but really be frustrated. The Browns front office has drafted a quarterback in the top 100 with physical limitations that put a cap on his abilities to reliably and consistently place the ball downfield and between the numbers. This is essentially like tying your coaching staff hands behind their backs. It's even more so when you consider that so much of what Kevin Stefanski does in the passing game is built off the 5 and 7 step drop and pushing the ball vertically. This is something that the offense has thrived on the last 5 years. But that also doesn't include just some of this film showing up, watching the more inconsistent play we saw from Dillon Gabriel at Oregon, combined with shorter quarterbacks naturally stressing out their edge protection more by having a greater depth of drop in the pocket. It's not as though Dillon Gabriel may not find his place on the team. It's not that he may not eventually be called on to play games, especially in a pinch, God forbid in his rookie year. But my annoyance has to eventually be aimed at someone higher than the coaching staff. What I am saying is this. Andrew Berry and the Browns brass have done themselves no favors on this one. Top 100 pick is expected to be a contributor to your roster. Instead, you've only further muddled the quarterback position by throwing decent draft capital into a limited player. Joe Flacco still remains your QB1. While it's still very early, the return on investment isn't looking very promising. Questionable preseason and camp tape has a really nasty and reliable habit of carrying over in the regular season, and these are the type of things that only continue to hurt your football team. Look, I don't have all the answers. I can only give you my evaluation and the interpretation of what the film says to me, but what it says at this very moment is that they found a better player in the 5th round than they did in the 3rd round, and that somehow these quarterback ranking abilities, with the attempt at improved methodology and cutting-edge analytics, far removed from the days of Johnny Manziel, still hasn't truly improved. And until it does, we as long-suffering Browns fans will continue to be worse off for it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Especially if you've held on to the end of this video, all I can really do is express my gratitude. Special thanks to a handful of my boys that I played ball with for a number of years. They've been encouraging me to do this sort of episodic content for a long time. The YouTube channel's dated August of 2017. Some of my earliest personnel evals dated back to 2010 with DeMarco Murray and Earl Thomas. I want to say 2013 for film with Barkevius Mingo. A number of forums that I've developed a lot of great football relationships with. People have been very supportive, very complimentary, just great talks. This is a pursuit of passion first and foremost. Like you, I'm just a passionate student of the game. My end goal is simple. I just want to be an educator and to share what I find with football fans, regardless of who you cheer for. Obviously, with a little additional emphasis on my hometown Brownies. Look, there's a lot of bad content out there, stuff that is insanely rushed just to be first and loudest, regardless of whether it's accurate or not. And that just isn't me. The last thing I want is create content that makes me look like an asshole, especially within a week, a month, a year. Giving evaluations, giving interpretations that stand the test of time where people look back and go, wow, holy shit, you were right. To me, that's everything. That's crucial. So please keep this in mind. The clips, the videos, the evals are all a labor of love. With that labor comes investment, the biggest investment being hours. And I do mean hours, which is exactly what it takes to do this right. Play charting, personnel groupings, formations, route combinations, defensive structures, play call strings, offensive themes, defensive things. So much to list. Would I love for this passion to be able to be a full-time pursuit? Absolutely. So if you enjoyed what you saw, if you enjoyed what you heard, or if it captured your attention in any way, please be a part of this grassroots movement. Bottom-up type build. Toss the channel along with the Twitter if you can. A like, a follow, a sub, a share. Hell, at some point I'll probably open a Patreon for donations and we'll see how far this goes. For those of you big on fantasy football, I'm also affiliate of BrainyBallers.com, developers of the Star Predictor Score model. You can find them on Twitter and Facebook as well. They're a great group. I've been fortunate enough to develop a good football relationship with them. They even hosted a few of my articles, stuff that predated these videos. You're welcome to look them up. Eventually, in work with timing them, I would love to develop an RSS feed that links out to the YouTube channel, Twitter for some of these videos, and quick clips. Kind of a one-stop shop place, if you will. If that's your thing, give them a look as well. The link will be in the video below. I appreciate everyone for your continued support, and we'll catch you on the next episode.